The year the charts got weird, wild, and wonderfully funky. 1976 wasn't just the bicentennial year of the United States. It was also a year when musical experimentation collided with mainstream success in the most unexpected ways. Genres like disco, funk, soft rock, and novelty pop were all finding chart success, and for one glorious moment, a handful of artists touched stardom, only to vanish almost immediately after. In this deep dive, we remember 12 one-hit wonders from 1976, songs that briefly ruled the airwaves, but whose artists largely disappeared afterward. Play that funky music, Wild Cherry. It's hard to imagine a wedding or karaoke night without this thumping anthem. Play That Funky Music was born out of frustration, literally. Lead singer Rob Parisai's rock band had been trying to win over disco-loving club crowds in Pittsburgh when someone in the audience yelled, "Play some funky music, white boy." Parisai scribbled the now iconic phrase on a bar napkin and soon turned it into a funky rock-disco hybrid. The song rocketed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold over 2 million copies. While Wild Cherry released more albums, none of them made a dent in the charts. They're now remembered almost exclusively for this groovy, bass-driven monster of a track. Still, what a legacy. What happened next? Parisai eventually went into producing, and Wild Cherry disbanded in 1979. Despite being a one-hit wonder, the track remains a licensed favorite in commercials and films. A fifth of Beethoven, Walter Murphy. In one of the boldest genre mashups of the 70s, classically trained musician Walter Murphy transformed Beethoven's Fifth Symphony into a disco smash. The title was a pun, a fifth, referencing both the classical piece and a fifth of liquor, appealing to disco clubgoers. The track was catchy, witty, and surprisingly respectful to the original melody. Riding the wave of the disco explosion, it topped the Billboard charts and even made its way onto the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, albeit post-peak popularity. What happened next? Murphy continued to compose, working on TV themes and collaborating with Seth MacFarlane on Family Guy and American Dad. But this was his only major commercial hit. Disco Duck, Part 1. Rick Dees and his cast of idiots. Few songs divide listeners like Disco Duck. Love it or hate it, it was a phenomenon in 1976. Rick Dees, a Memphis radio DJ, created this bizarre novelty disco track with a Donald Duck-style voice as a joke. But when it hit the airwaves, it became a runaway success. It topped the Billboard Hot 100, sold over 6 million copies worldwide, and sparked a minor merchandise craze. What happened next? Rick Dees was actually fired from his DJ job for playing his own song. While he later became a syndicated radio legend, he never returned to the charts musically. Afternoon Delight, Starland Vocal Band. Wholesome on the surface, cheeky underneath, Afternoon Delight was a soft rock ode to midday lovemaking. Its harmonies were gorgeous, almost lullaby-like, but its lyrics sparked debates on subtlety in songwriting. The Starland Vocal Band won 2 Grammys and even had a short-lived TV variety show. But follow-up singles like California Day didn't resonate, and by the early 80s, they had disbanded. What happened next? Members Bill Danoff and Taffy Nivert were previously co-writers of John Denver's Take Me Home, Country Roads. While they had strong songwriting chops, the magic of Afternoon Delight was never repeated. Let Your Love Flow, the Bellamy Brothers. Technically, the Bellamy Brothers were far from a one-hit act in country music circles. But in terms of crossover pop hits, Let Your Love Flow was their peak. Written by Neil Diamond's roadie Larry Williams, this cheerful country pop song became an anthem for the free-spirited mid-70s. It reached #1 in the U.S. and charted globally. What happened next? The Bellamy Brothers transitioned to country music full-time and found long-term success there, even recording with Dolly Parton and Alan Jackson. But in the world of pop, this song was their sole chart topper. Moonlight Feels Right, Starbuck. Featuring a dreamy marimba solo by Bo Wagner, Moonlight Feels Right was soft rock's answer to steamy summer nights. With lyrics about beach drives and moonlight kisses, It was tailor-made for romantic FM radio playlists. Starbuck was a band of Atlanta musicians trying to blend jazz elements with mainstream pop, and it worked. Once. The song hit number 3 on the Billboard charts. What happened next? Starbuck continued performing for several years, even opening for Yellow in Boston. But their subsequent singles barely cracked the top 100. Welcome back, John Sebastian. John Sebastian was no stranger to success. As the frontman for the Lovin' Spoonful, he had already left a mark on the 60s folk rock scene. But his solo career stumbled until TV came calling. The producers of Welcome Back tapped Sebastian for a theme song. His mellow acoustic track became a surprise hit, topping the charts in 1976. What happened next? Though critically respected, Sebastian never again reached commercial heights as a solo artist. He later did session work and reunited briefly with the Lovin' Spoonful. More, PT1, Andrea True connection. Andrea True was perhaps the most unexpected pop star of 1976. Known primarily for her adult film work, she recorded More during a trip to Jamaica when she couldn't access her money due to political unrest. To make use of her time and funds, she recorded the song with producer Greg Diamond. The result? A sultry, hypnotic disco classic. What happened next? Though she released more music, the novelty factor faded quickly. True's follow-up singles didn't chart, and she returned to quieter life after retiring from both industries. Shannon, Henry Gross. Inspired by the death of Beach Boy Carl Wilson's Irish setter, Shannon is one of the most tender and unexpected ballads of the decade. With lush production and a haunting falsetto, Gross struck emotional gold. The song reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was particularly successful in Canada and Australia. What happened next? Henry Gross had earlier been a founding member of Shannon, but post-Shannon, he struggled to find another hit. He continued writing and performing into the 2000s. Fooled around and fell in love, Elvin Bishop. Although credited to Elvin Bishop, it was Mickey Thomas's soaring vocals that powered this soulful power ballad to success. The guitar-driven track was a mainstay of slow dance playlists in 1976. The song hit number 3 on Billboard and became a rock radio staple. Mickey Thomas would later join Jefferson Starship. What happened next? Bishop returned to his blues rock roots and never chased pop success again. Still active in music, his later career stayed under the mainstream radar. Turn the beat around, Vicky Sue Robinson. When this track hit the clubs, it felt like lightning had struck the disco floor. With its Latin percussion, fast pace, and energetic vocal performance, Turn the Beat Around was the perfect track for high-energy dancing. It reached number 10 on the Billboard charts and became a favorite for DJs across the country. What happened next? Despite strong critical support, Robinson never replicated the success. She stayed active in music and theater until her death in 2000. Happy Days, Pratt and McLean. Television's impact on music can't be overstated in the 70s, and Happy Days is a prime example. The song, written by Norman Gimbel and Charles Fox, was performed by Pratt and McLean for the beloved sitcom of the same name. It peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and remains deeply associated with American nostalgia. What happened next? Pratt and McLean failed to follow up with any major hits. They faded into obscurity, even as their one hit lived on in syndication for decades. What unites these 12 songs is more than their fleeting chart success. Each track captures something ephemeral but powerful, a snapshot of a particular vibe in 1976. The cultural mood, from post-Vietnam escapism to pre-Reagan hedonism. The genre crossovers, with disco rubbing shoulders with soft rock, funk, and even classical music. The democratization of fame, where DJs, adult stars, and jingle singers could briefly dominate Billboard alongside legends like Stevie Wonder or Fleetwood Mac. They weren't just one-hit wonders, they were one-moment wonders. And in many cases, that moment was glorious.